Danville City Commission, our regular meeting for today, Monday, April the 22nd, 2024, at 5:30 p.m. Thank you for your attendance. We're going to be led in prayer by the mayor this evening and be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, led this afternoon by Chief Doan. Okay, if you bow with me, a moment of silence in honor of all the violent things that are going on in our world, and especially in all the different shootings that we continue to have each and every weekend in these United States, and especially for the young victims who don't know what guns are, but yet still become the victims. So a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Chief? Chief hiding out right there. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. Commissioners, you've seen a copy of the agenda. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda with one addition to the agenda. Item number 4A would be an update on the road closure by Kendra Morgan. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll move the amended agenda.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Our agenda is approved. Next on our agenda, first thing is to hear from the public. Anyone desiring to speak to the commission at this time about items that are on the agenda, raise your hand. I'll recognize you. Come up to the microphone and identify yourself, and then you can have 3 minutes or less to speak to your city commission this evening. Thank you all. Hearing none, let's move right along then. First item on our planned agenda is a proclamation in honor of National Safe Digging Month. Rick Siri is going to read that tonight. He's in Ireland, so he's yielded to Commissioner Cottle. Mr. Cottle told me to call Mr. Siri, and I did. He said, give it back to Cottle. So, Mr. Cottle, would you read that for us, please?
I'll do that.
All right.
National Safe Digging Month, April 2024. Whereas National Safe Digging Month is observed in April to remind homeowners, contractors, and any professional excavator to keep communities safe by calling 811 before any digging project. Digging without knowing the approximate location of underground utilities can result in disruptions to critical services, serious injuries, and costly repairs to underground utility lines. It's a simple and easy to make a free request online or over the phone before digging to help communities maintain essential utility services, promote safety, and reduce the likelihood of digging into buried utility lines. And whereas the call 811 service is free, safe, and required by law, and whereas as part of National Safe Digging Month, Atmos Energy asks everyone to become a safety ambassador by taking the Atmos Energy Call 811 pledge at atmosenergy.com, call 811 pledge. And whereas homeowners are further encouraged to take a few precautionary measures when planning any digging project this spring. If work is scheduled for an upcoming weekend, make a free 811 request on Monday or Tuesday, providing ample time for the approximate location of the lines to be marked. Confirm that all lines have been marked. Consider moving the location of your project if it is near utility line markings. If a contractor has been hired, confirm that the contractor has contacted 811. Don't allow work to begin if the lines are not marked. Again, please visit 811beforeyoudig.com for complete information, and whereas with an increasing number of public infrastructure projects and expanding economic development, pipeline damage results from excavation remains the most common cause of outside natural gas leaks. And whereas everyone who contacts 811 a few days before digging is connected to a local notification center that will take the caller's information, communicate it to local utility companies. Professional locators will then visit the site to mark the approximate location of the underground utility lines with spray paint, flags, or both, and where all parties agree that safe digging is a shared responsibility, call 811 before you dig. Now, therefore, be it resolved, Mayor James J. Atkins and the City of Danville Board of Commissioners do hereby recognize the month of April as National Safe Digging Month in the City of Danville, Kentucky. Wow, that's a lot. Let's talk about digging.
Thank you, sir.
Just don't forget to call.
We have a
811
representative
before
from
you dig.
Atmos. Were you wanting to say something tonight?
No, just kind of thank you all for doing that. You know, it's about the constituents and the
Yeah.
city of Danville and everybody that we serve. So, you know, we see some travesty. I know you all don't always see it, but in our company, we see a lot of people in explosions and stuff like that that could be prevented. And we've been fortunate enough here. I know there was one that was 27, 28 years ago, but we've been fortunate. So it's more about telling the community, you know, most of the time when we get somebody with a damage, they don't know about 811, they don't know the laws, they don't know to call before they dig, whether it's just a homeowner trying to do it or whatever. So we appreciate the city joining us in this effort to, you know, make the public aware of it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And if it'd be okay, Mayor, can I take a picture with you and the council?
No. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Wait. Let's do the motion and approve the proclamation first, but yes, we'll do that. Is there a motion to approve this proclamation?
I'll make a motion to approve the proclamation as presented.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We do a microphone check on Commissioner Carter while we...
No, that was me. I didn't have. User error. User error.
She always has all the rest of us looking up to her. She gets to look up tonight.
No, we got two cameras. That's,
We do?
you have small bodies. All right. Smile. 1, 2, 3. Left. Do it again. All right. 1, 2, 3. Big smile. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's that?
Talk. Somebody taught you something, he said.
What's that?
He said, well, somebody taught something.
All right, next on our agenda tonight is an update from the CVB, and Mr. Kendall Clinton is here to do that update. Thank you, sir, for your presence.
Good evening. So just like everybody else, we're working on our FY '25 budget, trying to figure out what we're going to be doing next year. But I want to give you a little recap about where we stand right now for this current fiscal year after 8 months. Back in June, our board approved a budget of $322,000 in transient room tax revenue, with $300,000 of that coming from hotels and the other 22 coming from short-term rentals, Airbnb, VRBO, places like that. At the 8-month mark, we were about $11,000 under the $200,000 we needed to be at, but that was with some unpaid taxes that we hadn't collected yet. So I think when we get those caught up, we're actually going to be ahead. And on the short-term rental side, we're actually about $3,000 ahead of where we thought we would be. And we're still working with a company named called Granicus that's going to help us with Airbnbs, VRBOs that have not been paying us the tax. We haven't gotten them to start sending those letters out, but then that'll bring in a whole batch of Airbnbs that aren't currently paying us. So I think we're going to end the fiscal year probably ahead of where we budgeted. So we're looking pretty good for the rest of this year as long as things stay on track. Some of that money we have in there is ARPA funds. A little bit of that's going to carry over into the next fiscal year, primarily for these wayfinding signs we're working on in Perryville. Josh and Melanie have helped me with that, and Allie at Main Street Perryville, been a lot of good assistance from them. We only have 8 months to spend this money, though, so if we can't get this project to completion by then, we're going to have to look at shifting that money somewhere else. Otherwise, we have to give it back. So I don't feel, again, I can't give it to you, no. I wasn't real confident in my abilities to navigate the transportation cabinet's requirements for this money, so we are using John Carmen, who the city used for the wayfinding signs, and he's going to help us through the process. I think they were going to file the encroachment permit with District 7 today to get that going. I think that's really going to help get the project move further along. I read the instructions, and they didn't make a lot of sense to me. So, if for some reason we can't get this completed, we will shift the money to billboards, social media influencers, other projects we had already gotten approved. So we will definitely spend the money. I really want to spend it on the wayfinding signs, but we'll make something happen if we can't do that. There's another program, and this isn't a program that's our program, but it's through the Kentucky Department of Tourism. I've been trying to get the word out about this. It's the Kentucky Tourism Incentive Development Program. A lot of people don't know about it, but it provides funds for projects that have a tourism-related aspect. So if you're building a distillery or a pure tourism project, there is actually a tax incentive through the Kentucky Department of Tourism that you can apply for to get up to 30% back in tax refunds. So you have to apply for it before you announce the project, before you start digging dirt. Once the project starts, it's too late. And we've had a few projects here locally that may have been eligible if they had known in time. So I've talked to some folks who are potentially going to do some projects to let them know about it. I've already done a couple Zoom calls with them and with state tourism to learn more about it, but I'm trying to let everybody know that if you hear of a project that could be related to tourism, let them talk to me first before they announce it publicly so we can see if this is a program where they could actually get some economic benefit out of it. Another effort involved in the Department of Tourism is filming. On May 2nd, they're going to have a crew from Miles Partnership, which is the State Department of Tourism's marketing company. They're going to be here in town for about 4 hours shooting video that will be used for statewide tourism promotion, but it'll feature downtown Danville on Main Street and the Glass Museum. So only thing I need is some volunteers to be in the film. So if anybody wants to volunteer it's not a speaking role, you just have to walk around and look at things. LaHanna has already said she would be part of it, so she was the first to respond. The last thing I wanted to mention was our Joyride campaign, the regional campaign that I've talked about before that had Mike Wolf from American Pickers. That video has now been viewed over 7 million times. The campaign's only halfway through. We still have $500,000 left to spend, but the campaign recently won 4 advertising awards. They're called Addies. They're the, I forgot what Addie stands for. Anyway, pretty prestigious awards for different aspects of that campaign. And we've still got, like I said, about $500,000 left to spend on that as a region. So that campaign is going to continue on. In the meantime, locally, we're doing our own Boyle County Joyride campaign between now and early September, maybe even further on out from that. So each Friday, we're going to have a social media post that highlights a location in Danville or Boyle County where you can experience local history, bourbon, food, and recreation, which are kind of the highlights of the overall campaign. We've compiled a list that's on our website, and every Friday we'll pick one of those locations and refer back to that list. We did our first post on Friday, and it's done pretty well. Lots of people responded to it, so looking forward to having those over the next 4 months. Along with that, we're just always looking for new ways to market and promote Danville, and I'll have more stuff to talk about next time.
Thank you, sir. Any
Kendall,
questions or comments?
Well, I was just going to ask, you're talking about businesses that relate to tourism and the grant funding available. You mentioned distilleries. What else would be in that? I was trying to think myself.
They have guidelines of what's eligible, but they said even if it doesn't seem like it fits the guidelines, they still want to hear about it because it could be something where they can make it work. So if it's anything that is related to tourism, brings people to town, they may say no, but, can't hurt to ask. There are certain minimum thresholds for, I think you have to spend at least, and there's like 3 different categories, but for the general one, I think you have to spend at least $500,000 on your project, but I don't know that there's a cap on it.
Thank you.
Well, any other questions or comments? Huh?
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Good job. Next on our agenda is approval of the minutes of the previous meetings, April the 8th, April 11th, and April the 16th. April the 19th will be on the next packet. So the chair would like to entertain a motion to approve 3 sets of minutes, if that's your pleasure.
I move for approval of the minutes of 4/8/24, 4/11/24, 4/16/24, and 4/19/24.
419 is not
Yeah.
in there. 19.
These-
Oh,
yeah.
sorry, you're right.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any questions, comments, any additions or deletions? Wow. All those in favor of accepting our minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you all. Next item is Resolution 2024-04-2201, Memorandum of Understanding with Boyle County Schools. Not seeing Mr.
I'm
Barton.
going to do that
Oh,
for
okay.
him.
All right.
This is a resolution, we passed this, I think we've done it, this is our 3rd year now with Bull County Schools to provide transportation and meals for the Parks and Rec Day Camp this summer.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Any questions or comments? Or is there a motion at this time?
I'll move to approve Resolution 2024-04-2201.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Once again, are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of this resolution say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Next is item 4A, where we inserted Kendra Morgan, an update on the road closing, and he didn't bring us Chick-fil-A with him tonight, did he?
Thank you, Mayor and members of the commission. Alan Four again with Kendra Morgan, Vice President with Kendra Morgan, to provide our latest update on the progress for reopening of Tank Road, or probably better known as the road to Chick-fil-A. So we are continuing to make progress. As with any construction project, you're subject to weather and issues that you uncover when you're beginning to implement the process. A couple of things a visible thing that you may see if you've been out or near the site is the seeding and mulching and silt fencing that is complete. I think that's been a considerable visual improvement and will help with the overall, once we get the overall work done for repair for drainage issues. One of the things that we did discover in team leader preparing their encroachment plan and inspections on site was that there will need to be additional soil compaction at the crossing so that it's up to the appropriate grade that the city requires. So that testing was scheduled and it had to be rescheduled for weather issues. So there does need to be additional soil compaction to get to that 95%. Team Leader is resubmitting their encroachment plan, which is going to include encroachment agreement plan, which will include the soil compaction efforts that will precede the actual paving of the road. So I would characterize everything at this point to as I have before. It has the highest attention of both the developer and us. My job here is particularly to keep communication moving, keep paperwork moving, and I think, to be fair on both sides, I think we're doing that. I do expect the reopening to move into May with the additional things that we are doing. Again, everyone is focused on doing it as quickly and as safely as possible, and focused on the earliest possible effort, but I don't want to suggest that we're likely to still be in April completion with the things that have to be done, but it likely will be a May date. I'm not sure when in May, but I'm confident, based upon what I've seen and the plans that are put forth, that we'll be able to meet a May reopening date for that road. But that's basically where we are. Again, the city and the city engineer's office has been part of a lot of these discussions. We would prefer that things were moving faster. We want to get this done probably as much or more than you do to move past this whole issue and address the issues of concern. So I'll just reiterate once again, the right folks are on this from Kinder Morgan at a technical and professional level. Team Leader has been very diligent in their working to comply with the sometimes complicated encroachment plans that we require, understandably, because we're operating natural gas pipelines and you have to be very specific about crossings on that. But this has never been and won't be something that can't be done. It's just a timing matter, and we'll continue to update the council and work with the city as we finalize these plans. But I'm encouraged by the progress so far and confident we're going to get this done very soon.
Thank you, sir.
Very good.
Questions or comments?
I just appreciate
Alan, let me-
heads
let me-
up that you give us.
Yeah,
No, I don't want to interrupt you, and I didn't want to get past it, so go ahead. And I do want to mention something to him.
No, I was just saying I appreciate the fact that he keeps coming back
coming
and
back.
letting us
Yeah.
know what's going on, because we get asked, and
Yeah.
it's nice to know what to tell them.
thank you.
I apologize. One of the things, so I was on the conference call the other day, I want to say it was the 11th,
Right.
and when you're talking about the encroachment, I want to make sure that it's understood. Seem like the folks on your side, and I know this is going to catch you off guard, and I apologize for
Okay.
having to do that, but I had covered it with Marshall, he couldn't be here tonight. There was continued to seem to be a little bit of confusion from some of your remote folks that aren't necessarily here. They were approaching that road and the condition as if it were all new, and I wanted to reiterate to you while you were here so that you could carry it back. The water line, for example, predated the project by many decades. The water line was going up the hill for years. That roadway is not a new encroachment. And I want to make sure you know that. That was not a new road. It was paved at one time. It was 20-foot wide depth through there at one time. It degraded over the course of time because it never became commercialized, and so therefore there was no maintenance on it. That was a previous encroachment that went from only serving the property on the west to serving both the property on the east, which is your Team Leader site, and also, so it was improved.
Improved.
And the improvement was an improvement of fill. And the tenor that I kept hearing when I was on that call, and I tried to get into it a little bit, but at the time, they were more focused on the compaction and the backfill material. But I think it's important for you guys to realize on your side, and it seemed like there was no, the water line referred to as a new piece of infrastructure that crossed your easement. So there was even discussions of, as if the water line was new, okay? And so there's, you got a lot of different people on the phone too. And so I just think for your organization, I think it's important to understand that both that roadway and that water line predated the discussion by decades. It goes back into the early 80s, okay?
Understood.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And obviously, I've been out there many times, and possible that some folks on the call have not seen that.
And it wasn't the same quality all the way up the hill. It was the same quality back there to where some of the fill on the west side had started.
Okay,
Right, and that developer had one time had a vision of developing that on the right and then lost interest in it for other financial projects he was working on. Notwithstanding, that was a developed road back there so far at one time already. Probably, I know it was there whenever we were looking at the fire station that's on the bypass, and that was in 2004. It was developed up through there to a certain point already then. And so I know it was done, 10, 15 years before that. So I don't know when or what your records would produce, but it was definitely characterized to team leader as if this was a totally new thing and that, but it was not. I just want to make sure you knew that.
okay,
Yeah.
yes, and thank you for bringing that to my attention. I wasn't on that call.
Correct, yeah.
There are a lot of calls that happen that I'm not on, but I'll certainly follow up on that. I will say that what I have seen, and team leader has also seen this, and I think we'll be providing a copy of this to the city too, is the schedule that we're looking at over the next few weeks. The encroachment, team leader originally sent in an encroachment agreement back on April 8th. And they're submitting a revised one. I think they were doing that today or tomorrow. And the turnaround time for all of this is very routine in the sense of whether it's an improvement or a new road. These are quick times. And they've sent something over previously, so that gives us an idea that we're all on the same page. So it won't delay anything. It will be something that we can move through relatively quickly. As I said before, and I think I've told you when we first talked about this a couple of months ago, this isn't something we don't do regularly. It's just been getting the focus on it, but I appreciate you bringing that to our attention, but it should not impact the schedule.
Well, I just didn't want it to. That was
Yeah.
what my point was. I didn't know if you had a different category for new encroachment versus altered.
From what I've seen, there'll be no impact on the schedule.
And Mr. Fuller, I know this commission does not meet again until April the 13th. Do you anticipate at that time being able to provide, excuse me?
Is that May the 13th?
May the 13th. May the 13th. Would you anticipate at that time being able to provide some type of estimated date of completion? Is that
Yes.
sufficient time?
Yes, that we will absolutely have line of sight and hopefully a specific date at that time.
Okay,
And that's the next council meeting?
It is.
Okay,
May the 13th at 5:30.
yes.
Yeah, thank
We'll
you.
plan on providing an update at that meeting.
Thank you.
Good. Well, thank you, guys, and please continue to keep the communications open.
Thank you.
Thank you, now. All right. Okay, next item on our agenda is Resolution 2404-2202, IT surplus. Ms. Rader?
Yes, in your packet, you have a list of items that IT is asking to surplus through govdeals.com. Yes, public auction on GovDeals.
Is there a motion to approve this surplus list?
I'll move to approve Resolution 2024-042202.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any questions?
Pick you up a TV that doesn't work, and a couple other nice items. Not long till Christmas.
Smarty. Anything else? All those in favor of this resolution say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Next is the city manager report. Mr. Kofi?
Thank you, Mayor Commissioners. We noted a couple of the dates on there. The 25th is the next budget meeting. There were some other budget meetings that we did not denote, partly because I wanted to get to the meeting tonight. I think we have one for May 16th. Under the funding support category down there at the bottom, Josh has been working, he's got two, and I apologize for him not being here. He wished he could have been. He's been working with the city's consulting engineer on our transportation needs. He's got two grants that are deadlined over the next 30 days, I want to say. The value of those are close to 20 million. He, in working with that consultant and then overlaying that on the idea of how do we increase, what lobbying can we do in Washington to increase the access to those federal dollars and then raise awareness of our needs locally. I think what he has came up with is a strategy in the short term and long term. And I think in the short term, and I support him in it, we brainstorm, I say we brainstorm on it together. The lobbying firm that the mayor and I met with, they had a retainer. It was a monthly retainer. It was quite a bit of money. I think some of the example contracts, it could be somewhere between $5,000 and $8,000 a month or even 10. And Josh and I, after we saw that, we were trying to figure out a way to avoid that expense. One of the ideas is that you do need some representation in Washington with the agencies that your grants are being funded through. And so what the engineering team and Josh, what they devised using the Better Transportation Group, they're having an annual visit in May. I think what the idea is that the city take advantage of that rate to go visit with FHWA and also some of the other people that are tied to funding opportunities for us. And if you'd like to talk about it more, I can at whatever leisure. You know, you may not, in other words, tonight may not be enough time for you. But the cost of the trip for Josh and I, which is what the suggestion is to make it purely administrative, meeting with the departments that are administering the grants, not necessarily a visit your congressman trip, but to really go to work on those agencies. That's what the suggestion was given to us to do. You're looking at a cost like the $3,000 range. If we allow a lobbyist to coordinate that trip and wait on the phone, he suggested, well, you go by yourself in June, and you know that cost would probably be $10,000 to $12,000, and then you're talking about adding a retainer in. What we'd like to do is punt the need for a lobbyist and take advantage of that reduced rate and go on that trip to FHWA in May. There would be Josh, and there would be probably myself. He suggested, or the suggestion was that he and I go. The trip in that we're not really meeting with elected officials per se. I don't know that the mayor would need to go in this first step. And so that would be an administrative thing. I wanted to keep you all abreast of that. I wanted to make sure if you all were telling me that I was running off the rails with that, I was going to give you this opportunity to do that. But that's been kind of the recommendation to us, rather than hiring a lobbyist in the next 6 months, because of the timing of the grant applications that Josh has and the timing of the next cycle. The idea is that just do administrative staff stuff in May, and then give it a few months to circle back to see if that would give us an opportunity to align the idea more with and make it a budget discussion, so that if you all wanted to fund it during the budget process, and that could be something we would talk about at one of our upcoming budget meetings again. The problem with the May trip is that we need to get on the calendar. So I've seen Josh was sent a list of people that we could have time slots with. And so we do need to do that if that's what we want to do. And so I know that's kind of not really cleanly said, but I think that's the direction of the recommendation that we're getting in order to positively influence our applications on those two grants. And then as we go forward, we'll talk about it more during the budget process. The idea is to do it as cheaply as possible in the short term, and then delay any future expense that you would have for some future discussion over the next 6 months. And I know that may not even make sense, but it's an effort to. Yeah.
Just about, there's the opportunity to try something.
Yeah.
He keeps saying, something that's cheap and affordable, but something's gonna have to do that.
That's what the goal is, yeah. Yeah, this is the lowest cost to do this initial step. And you know, again, this was the approach recommended to us in the short term. And I'm trying to think what else I could tell you. We've talked a little bit about it, and so we generally know the objective is to do some form of lobbying to improve the likelihood of our success on some of the federal transportation grants that, you know, the report on the safe roads. So Palmer and Josh are developing grants out of that report that was provided to you as a completed document. The last meeting, I think, which was a fairly robust document done by Palmer Engineering. And so we've got 2 grant applications that he's submitting out of that pile of safe road work, I guess. And so that's kind of, without a map and without the presence of Josh, that's me trying to make up for Josh's absence.
Yeah. I appreciate you both being willing to travel for 2 sizable grants, so thank you.
It would be very quick. It's there and back. It's like one overnight, I think, is what it's and it's a fairly hectic schedule that Thursday and Wednesday. One of the side benefits that we're going to separate, we're going to be in 2 different paths right now, and I'll get you more information when he comes back. I'll distribute it, but you know, we have some of the EV airplane manufacturers there. So we're going to be able to meet with Joby Aviation directly. We've met with Beta before, so we'll be able to do that. I'll do that part on Wednesday, I think he said, and then while he's at a different meeting. So we'll develop an itinerary. We'll get it to you. That's what it will be around. It will be around the idea of not of doing this with staff support as low a cost as possible, but still trying to leverage some, and we will pay for it out of the legislative executive budget. So it's not an extraordinary budget amendment or anything like that. I mean, it's just a normal expenditure. I was just wanting to make sure you all knew that that was kind of where we were heading up on the funding support process.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments?
I mean, people from Frankfurt are going with you, right?
There's people all over Kentucky
That will be
that will be
going.
going.
Okay.
I think our consultant will have a representative there as well,
Okay.
which helps us.
Shall we move on?
I don't really have anything else. We do want to coordinate the facilities tours for you, and I think Ashley and I have talked about that a little bit the week of the 20th. So what we'll do is we'll take the 16th and we'll bump it 1 week because that's the day that we will do this trip. And so then we'll get you an amended budget schedule.
I
And-
sent an email Friday.
You did, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's May 23rd?
Yep.
Okay. Is there a budget meeting Thursday, April the 25th?
Yes.
Will Rick be back by then? Rick still won't be back?
I don't think so. I think he'll.
Yeah. Y'all can't be absent. I don't miss part of that. All right, let's go on then. Thank you, sir. Next on our agenda is the second Hear the Public opportunity, and at this stage, you can talk to the commission about things that are not on the agenda. So if you raise your hand, be recognized, and we'll call on you, and we'll give you 3 minutes or less, and we'll listen to you. Wow. Oh, it must be Super Bowl night or something, right? Not Super Bowl. Let's go on then. Commissioner comments? No? Wow, Earth, somebody gotta say something about Earth Day, right?
Earth Day.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Earth Day? Well, a report from Dr. Miles is that weather was perfect, the attendance was overwhelming, and lots of good interaction with citizens of all ages. And free food, by the way.
And kind of in step with Earth Day, the farmer's market downtown, big opening, I think record number of vendors. So that'll be at Constitution Square every Saturday, I believe 9 to 12. So that'll be fun.
This Saturday?
Yes.
This Saturday, right?
I even saw a picture of possibly big tubs of strawberries. So
Oh, there you go.
I'll be first in line.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Well, moving right along then, next item is payment of the bills. Chair will entertain a motion to to pay the bill list as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills the payment of the bills in the amount of $337,148.22.
Second.
Are there any questions, comments, additions, or deletions? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying our bills, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you all. Next item, Ms. Compton, is Resolution 2024-04-2203. Pitney Bowes lease.
Yes, so we have a postage machine that's utilized by all departments in the city. The original lease that we have began in 2019 for a 60-month lease. And it is soon to be up in May. And in addition to the lease being up and us not being able to extend the lease with the current machine that we have to upgrade the machine because of some changes to USPS regulations regarding mail machines. So essentially, they've upped their security and some information that is required to be available through those postage machines, essentially so that they can better track that on their end. But unfortunately, for us to continue to utilize that here at City Hall rather than going and getting stamps every week, we need to upgrade our machine. And we also, it's time to renew the lease. So Pitney Bowes, we've been happy with their product and their billing, et cetera. So the new lease would be $288.24 each quarter for a total of $1,152.96 per year. It would also be a 60-month lease. And it does give us some improvements in the current machine that we have. It's a little bit more of an upgrade. We can weigh and mail larger packages. It does have capabilities of doing postage for other entities like FedEx or UPS, but I'm not sure yet if that's an additional upcharge for that. We would have to look at that once we got the machine set up.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
What's your pleasure? Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-04-2203.
Thank
Second.
you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Hearing no questions or comments, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you all. Chief Gray's not here, but Chief Doan.
Sir, this is just the second reading of the ABC ordinance amendment. This is just to amend the ordinance and make it a little less restrictive. It's not gonna, make the quality of the training any less. It's just gonna be less restrictive. And this is something that we've researched and puts us more in line with other cities of our size as far as the training for servers.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Is there a motion for
I'm
second
gonna-
reading?
I'm going to read it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This
Thank
is
you,
the
ma'am.
second reading of ordinance number 2029, an ordinance amending City of Danville Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2.5, Alcoholic Beverages, Article 12, Mandatory Responsible Beverage Service Training.
Thank you, ma'am. Roll call vote?
Commissioner Cottle? Yes. Commissioner Pete?
Oh, wait.
Yep.
We have a motion.
I was just going on.
I'm on a roll. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance, second reading? Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments? Now roll
Now I
call
can go.
vote. All right.
Commissioner Cottle? Yes. Commissioner Pete?
Yes.
Mayor Atkins?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Holly?
Yes.
Man, she was tough, isn't she? Now, Officer Young, you're next. Code Enforcement Report. Thank you, sir. Welcome to the commission meeting.
Thank you.
Welcome back, yeah.
So this is the report, code enforcement report for March 2024. There was 4 abandoned vehicles that we took care of. 1 tree, 1 fence, placement of garbage containers, there were 20 of them. 2 dogs. And then the cost of mowing for the month was $620. Billed was $766 for that. That's with the addition of what it costs us to do the work. Liens that were recovered for the month of March were 2 in the amount of $747.44. There were 5 notices of violations sent out, and 33 total inspections, activities, complaints for the month of March.
Wow. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments?
Is that about the average number?
It is for March. January, February, and March are a little slower than the rest.
Okay.
Starts
So it's
picking
gonna
up.
pick up.
Yeah, April's starts picking up pretty heavy.
Other questions or comments?
I'm just glad you're coming back and doing a report. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay. That concludes the printed agenda. The next step is to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Executive session, real brief.
Yeah, I tried. Is there, Chair would entertain a motion for executive session dealing with personnel? Yes, personnel? Hiring personnel?
I make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel matter pursuant to KRS 61-810-1F.
You're getting real good at doing that, aren't you? You're getting real good at doing that, right? Is there a second? You second it? All right. All those opposed to going into executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Out of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, ladies. All those in favor say aye. We're out of
Aye.
executive session. Mr. City Manager, you have a recommendation for us, a motion, a recommendation for us?
Sure do. Staff is recommending the hiring of Andrew Sears to the position of Parks and Rec Maintenance Supervisor.
Thank you, sir. Is there a
So
motion?
moved.
Second.
Thank you, ladies. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Sears, right? Chair would like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
No concern, Mayor.
What?
At what time?
At what time? Oh, 6:33, 6:34, 6:35. Is there a motion to
Make
adjourn?
a motion, we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you all.